Hey all, welcome to Share Trek, where science meets investments, and I'm your host Raj. Friends, we have not looked at CRISPR Therapeutics in a while, and after that latest earnings, it's about time to check it out. Today we are diving into CRISPR Therapeutics, what's going on with its commercial launch of Casgevy, how the market is reacting, and a spotlight on a very recent move by ARK Invest that could be of interest to all of us. If you are into gene editing plays and want the fundamentals plus technical mix, this is for you. Today, I'll go through their earnings and what I think about it, and as well as give you my insights based on some technical analysis. The question is, what if one success story in gene editing doesn't mean smooth sailing, and what it means for investors in CRISPR Therapeutics? So let's unpack this one. Let's set the scene. CRISPR Therapeutics is a Swiss-US biotech focused on gene-based medicines, especially using the CRISPR-Cas9 platform. Its flagship approved product is Casgevy, a one-time ex vivo CRISPR-Cas9 edited cell therapy jointly commercialized with partner Vertex Pharmaceuticals for sickle cell disease and transfusion-dependent beta thalassemia markets. Now, one thing you should remember is that even though the patient gets relief from their condition with this one-time treatment, but their offsprings could still have this condition, and therefore it doesn't mean that this therapy is extinguishing its market. At least that's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, please put that in the comment section so that we can have a discussion about that. Now, coming to the fact that why this matters. It marks one of the first commercialized CRISPR-edited therapies that's been monetized, and for investors, it signals gene editing moving from labs into patients and revenues. But the rollout is complex: cell collection, editing, conditioning, infusion. It's light years from a pill. CRISPR states approximately 60,000 eligible patients in approved regions, consisting of around 37,000 North American and greater than 23,000 in Middle East. So the 37,000 in North America also includes the numbers from Europe. So just two bifurcations. So we are looking at around 60,000 total for Casgevy. Next, let us look at the numbers that we need to know. Let's look at the third quarter 2025 earnings release. It says that the cash position as of September 30th, 2025 was $1.94 billion in cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. This is a very good number. Only $0.9 million was recognized as revenue in Q3, and that too it was grant revenue, almost flat. Operating expenses consisted of R&D expenses of approximately $58.9 million and general and administrative expenses of around $16.9 million. Collaboration expenses net US $57.1 million. The net loss was $106.4 million, or about US $1.17 per share. On the commercial front for Casgevy, approximately 300 patients referred to ATCs, as CRISPR likes to call them. 165 patients have completed first cell collection globally. Out of that, 50 happened in this Q3 that they reported for. 39 patients have already been infused to date, including 10 in Q3. Vertex expects clear line of sight to over $100 million in Casgevy revenue in 2025. While this may not mean that much to Vertex, I think it definitely means a lot to CRISPR Therapeutics. So what's the takeaway? Well, the pipeline operations are functioning, the cash position is strong, but commercial revenue is still very nascent. The 100 million target is forward-looking and heavily dependent on scale uptake. But here is where I think we have to pay attention to what ARK Investment recently did. It gets interesting. On November 12, 2025, ARK Invest disclosed in its 13F submission that it reduced its stake in CRISPR Therapeutics by 395,000 shares in Q3, and post-trade ARK held around 9.7 million shares worth around $634 million as of September 30th. And the question is, why does this matter? Well, ARK is well known in disruptive tech and biotech investing via Cathy Wood and team. A material transaction like this draws attention. The move may suggest ARK is trimming volatility risk or reallocating capital rather than a pure bearish signal. Context matters. Remember, they still have a very large stake in CRISPR Therapeutics. On the flip side, earlier in November, ARK was reported to have purchased 162,327 shares of CRISPR Therapeutics. So It may not be about losing faith in CRISPR Therapeutics for ARKG. Rather, it could be about a little bit of portfolio rebalancing, taking some gains, or risk management in the face of upcoming milestones. Now, for us retail investors, here is what I think we need to watch if we have invested in CRISPR Therapeutics or considering investing in CRISPR Therapeutics. I think ramping up of Casgevy infusion is one factor to look at. As more patients get through cell collection, it then leads to more patients in infusion, and ultimately that comes to reimbursement revenue that should start accelerating. It has taken some time, but now we are at the end of the tunnel. You can see the light out there for the revenue flowing into CRISPR Therapeutics. We also got to look at upcoming data releases consisting of the Casgevy pediatric phase 3 clinical trials, and also for in vivo programs like CTX310 showing positive early data. Now, apart from just the CRISPR-Cas9, we have got other activities that are taking place in the CRISPR pipeline. We have in vivo gene editing, autoimmune or oncology programs, synthase platform. Successful translation of all of this could re-rate the company, because any success in any of these areas could boost the valuation of the company. But there are some risks. Manufacturing complexity is one of the risks. Reimbursement for the Casgevy treatment done until it comes into the company's balance sheet, it continues to be a risk. Also, access constraint for potentially eligible patients is another risk factor. Even though Casgevy is approved, getting to many patients is hard because of various factors. So keep those things in mind. Just saying 60,000 potential patients doesn't mean that all the 60,000 can be targeted. And even if all 60,000 are targeted, it doesn't mean all of them would have the motivation, means, ability, and the proximity to a ATC in order to get this treatment. So all of those factors become a risk. And at present, revenue is minimal. Expectation is forward-looking. If ramp-up is slower, market may penalize the CRISPR stock. Ramp-up could become slower because of tough economic conditions. And if the tough economic conditions persist longer, then you start looking at the cash runway, you start looking at the cash in the balance sheet for CRISPR Therapeutics, and then you want to pay more emphasis on the synthase platform and others, which could probably give another monetized product. So that's the way I'm thinking about it, and I'd like to hear your thoughts about the risk factors. The other risk factor is the cash burn and dilution. With large R&D expenses and modest revenue, capital markets remain relevant, which means potential equity dilution, and the rate at which the equity will be sold will depend on the market appetite. So weaker the market, the more equity will have to be sold, and therefore more dilution. Always keep those factors in mind when dealing with companies like CRISPR Therapeutics, which are relatively new and building up on the cutting edge of technology. Gene editing is still new. Side effect profiles, long-term durability, competition, all of these things matter. Remember, Intellia is also developing a therapy for the same indication. Now, let's go and have a look at the technical analysis. First, I will tell you what other analysts are saying, and then I'll take you to the TradingView chart to give my opinion on it. RBC Capital Markets recently raised its price target on CRISPR to $50 from $42, but maintained a sector perform rating, citing cautious stance on Casgevy launch. Other sources point that although earnings beat on loss per share is a good factor, the revenue miss is a caution flag. But from my perspective, as I mentioned to you earlier, revenue for companies like CRISPR Therapeutics and Editas and all, it's very difficult to estimate because there are a lot of moving targets, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, this concern. Given the long horizon nature of gene editing, this may be more of a moonshot long-term hold than a short-term momentum play. Aligning with risk tolerance is very important in this situation. Now, let me take you to the TradingView platform and give you an idea of what I'm looking at. Here we are in the TradingView platform looking at a chart of CRISPR Therapeutics. Each of this candle is a one-day candle. I'm recording this on 14th November at 7:44 a.m. And as you can see, market sentiment is absolutely bearish. MACD is bearish but improving after the earnings. And we are also seeing that momentum has been at the rock bottom. People are still thinking, is it worthwhile getting into a stock like CRISPR in this kind of an environment? But let me tell you this, CRISPR is the best stock among the rest that you see here, apart from the exception of Illumina, in my opinion, PACB and Grail. These are the other stocks which are pretty good. The rest of them all are very risky in this situation. And I make an exception of CRISPR because it has got good cash balance. The other factor with CRISPR Therapeutics is starting to get some revenue coming in, and it has got good tie-ups, and it has got a very healthy pipeline and advanced stage of clinical trial on many of their various therapies. So overall, I think that CRISPR Therapeutics has the necessary resilience. But this morning, you can see we are already down 3.97%. We are at 49.08. I am looking at a support of 46.34. At around 46.34, I am ready to nibble. The next support, in my opinion, is likely to come depending on when we reach here. It's variable. It could come anywhere at around 44.38 all the way up to 43.07, depending on how long we take to reach here. But down we are coming for sure. And because of there is a delta for every stock with the market, if the overall market goes down, the stocks will definitely go down. And there is a little bit of cash taking happening out there. And that's the reason why CRISPR Therapeutics is coming down. In my books, I don't see this earnings report as anything negative. It's just a confirmation of how good this particular stock is. Well, that's my take. And now coming to price targets, right? I think in the near term, we can look at around 46.23, and potentially we can look at 43.84 within the next 10 to 15 days. That's my range. However, if we were to bounce off from 46.34, we will get a resistance at 53.25 because we have already confirmed this resistance here. So let me mark these as resistance before I move ahead. So those are the resistances. So then the question becomes, what does this mean for you, the investor? Well, I'm thinking as an investor from my investor perspective. Here's the view of CRISPR Therapeutics. The upside remains large. A successful rollout of Casgevy plus pipeline expansion into cardiovascular, autoimmune, in vivo gene editing could deliver multi-year upside. Remember, the diabetes therapy is already in advanced stage, and we may probably get some data about it in the near term. But near term, the risk reward is uneven because of the overall market volatility and also the delta with the market. There is high fixed cost, slow ramp up, reliance on execution. And in my opinion, the management of CRISPR Therapeutics is absolutely excellent. They have been managing this very carefully. No flashy actions, no hype, nothing, just pure execution. So I think we have a very good management, and they are most likely to succeed, if any. The recent ARK trimming is interesting. It may reflect recognition of the risk and capital management, not necessarily loss of conviction, but something to monitor. It may be more of a dynamic of ARK Investment funds itself and the role of CRISPR Therapeutics in it. Maybe the profits from CRISPR Therapeutics can show some performance somewhere else, and a bit of rebalancing because too much of profit in a particular portfolio, in a particular stock in a portfolio, may involve risk of losing those profits. So it's better to realize some of those profits and give it to the investor. So maybe those are the things at play. So if you're investing, I would say think in terms of 3 to 5 year horizon, not 3 to 6 months. And this is a company to learn about, monitor rather than blindly hold. So you have to be careful when you get into CRISPR Therapeutics. Watch for what is happening. Look at FDA announcements. Look at data releases. You can't just buy and hold and forget it for 3 years. It needs a lot of attention. And also as a genomics investor, I think one has to diversify. Given tech or biotech risk, don't go all in on one outcome. Use position sizing accordingly. And I think execution or commercialization is more important over and above the science. Just having the science is not enough. And I think that is where Vertex is helping CRISPR Therapeutics out here. And CRISPR Therapeutics has a great management, so I think they are learning fast. I think we have to put our focus on understanding how do patients get treated, and how does Vertex get paid, and how the money comes to CRISPR Therapeutics. I'd like to put some time out there and come back to you with what I find so that we get a much more granular understanding of the revenue side of this. Now, the question from me to you is, what is happening in your country in terms of gene editing treatment access? Are there equivalent therapies launching or regulatory hurdles that differ? Share your observations in the comments below. And I also like to hear from you whether you hold CRISPR Therapeutics and do you agree with my analysis. And if you have a different opinion, please let me know in the comment section so that I can consider that and maybe reassess my own positioning. Thanks a lot, my friends. And I would request that if you like this video, please do not hesitate to press the like out there. And also, if you are not yet subscribed, why not subscribe and help grow this channel? Thanks and have a great day. See you soon at ShareTrek, either in the channel or in the Substack. Bye for now.